Welcome back to another episode of Infinite Volume, the podcast about manga and anime. I'm one of your hosts, Jayden, and as always, I'm joined by.
My name's Nate. I'm here, as I always am. We're also
My
joined by.
my name is Logan, and I am also here.
Well, according to my notes, that's everyone. How
Yep.
you guys doing?
Well, we didn't. Can we talk about the fourth member?
Oh yes, we do have a new member.
Yeah, he was here last time too, but we didn't bring him up. Craig, do you wanna? No.
Craig,
maybe
Craig,
next time.
he likes to listen.
Yeah, he's like our PR guy.
Yeah,
True.
he's me. He just
He's
makes
our
sure he
producer.
doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah. We appreciate him and everything he does. What you got for us, Jay? Lead us in.
So-
Lead us in.
Today's episode, we're gonna be talking about how older manga influenced the industry and newer manga. But before we get to that, how was your week?
Which one?
Logan,
What'd
you
you do?
wanna? Logan can take it. Logan can take it. Mix it up a little bit.
It was okay. A lot of things happened, a lot of personal things, but we're at the end of the week now, and we can start a new one. So I didn't really do anything outside of just the 9 to 5, even though I don't work 9 to 5. But work and gaming and rematch beta or alpha,
Oh,
but NDA.
oh, you can.
Get the
I have to just
police!
God, just cut this out.
Yeah.
Bruh.
Craig, you gotta get rid of this,
Craig,
brother.
stop recording. Come on. What about you, Nate?
No, let's talk about rematch in like vague terms.
I don't even want to risk it. I think we
You
should
don't-
just
you
say
brought
we
it
played
up!
it. Yeah, but you can say that the test happened, but you can't say what
Okay, I'm gonna go.
anything about it.
And it was fun. I'll say it, controversial. All right,
Well,
Okay, I'm
Nate's
gonna
getting
just report
permabanned.
you guys in the Discord
Yeah.
I'm
real
gonna
quick.
get shot down. I think,
NDA
maybe.
break hunters, yo.
no,
Talking about on a podcast.
That was cool though.
If you're
Very
under
cool
an
of them to-
NDA, can you even say you're under an NDA, or is that illegal?
No, you can say you're under NDA. Cause if someone asks you, the response is you're under NDA.
I'm under an
so you can't.
NDA. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we can't talk about the rematch test.
I think we
because-
can talk about it. It was just recording and streaming was
Yeah.
restricted. You can't share like gameplay footage or
Okay.
screenshots.
Gotcha.
I don't want to talk about mechanics or anything, just in case that is under NDA and I didn't catch it. But I think we can say we enjoyed it, and I appreciate Slow Clap for giving the opportunity for so many beta tests and whatnot.
Yeah.
Very cool.
In
of
fact,
them.
they had this one as 24 hours.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, goated company, goated games, goated developers. Everything is goated. And play Sifu
Yeah, go play Sifu.
and Absolver. Everyone forgets about that one, but it's still
I
pretty
never
fun.
heard of that one.
Patreon episode. Jayden plays through Absolver.
That's a crazy one. Sifu would be easier to pull off, I think.
Oh, 100%. I think we should make Jayden play Sifu now.
Yeah, that would be funny.
That's a game I've been
Make
wanting
it
to
happen.
play.
Oh,
Let's make it
okay.
happen. Let's make it happen. Anything else, Luke? Can I take over?
No, you can go.
Okay. Let's talk about the Switch a little bit. Switch 2 news got dropped this week.
Yeah.
Let's not focus on the
talk
negative.
about
Let's
it.
not focus on the negative. Let's focus a little positive. I'm not a Nintendo stan. God knows I've said
Neither
my
am
piece on. Yeah. God knows we've all said our piece to each other on how we feel about the pricing and whatnot. But let's focus on some of the good stuff a little bit, maybe. Games are kind of bangers.
Yeah.
Open world Mario Kart, pretty cool. I don't really know how that's gonna function, but I if I was a kid and that came out, that would be one of my favorite games of all time, I think.
I mean, I'd assume it's gonna work like Need for Speed Unbound, which is the most recent that I've played that has that mechanic of just it's like GTA where you can just drive around and
Yeah.
go to random events, but you can also just drive around in the world that they created, or I guess the city.
Oh, it's like the crew. The crew 2.
Yep. Just like the crew.
Yeah, so
Very
it's
cool.
like other racing games that have that, but with more personality, more charm.
Like the fact they added a microphone now. Game
Dude,
chat.
we're
That is
not.
what I
Okay, well now
Now
we're
I-
going into negative.
You
Okay,
can't talk
nah.
about any of the positives without talking about a negative, because the second you
You
say
know what?
the Mario game
Yeah,
looks
yeah.
fantastic, but you're gonna have to shell out close to
To watch your
$100.
friends play it, you'll have to fucking watch them at 10 FPS Google slideshow.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man.
I
You
mean,
just have to, if you don't want to buy it, you just have to hope that one of your friends gets the console and buys Mario Kart, because that's probably all they're going to be able to afford for the next 8 years, because they'll be buying necessities instead of $80 video games.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
But this 8 times the storage.
Listen, the console itself, banger. And again, the video games look really good.
Yes.
I mean, the FromSoft exclusive is awesome. That is the last time I think Nintendo did something like this was when Resident Evil 4 dropped on the GameCube. Actually. Like it's been so long it feels like since they had a gritty IP show up as like a first party type. I guess Resident Evil 4 wasn't first party, but it like you know what I mean. They had a couple of
At
like
launch.
grittier stuff at launch for GameCube in that era of Nintendo. Luigi's Mansion is another one I'm thinking of. Obviously not as gritty, but it is, for Nintendo standards up there. They had what's the one I'm thinking of? There was a GameCube game that kind of messed with your memory card and stuff, and like it was similar to
I know you.
is it Eternal Darkness, I think maybe?
I don't
That
think
sounds
so.
familiar.
I have no
No?
clue.
Okay, well,
Uh,
I'm gonna look that up real quick.
it was like Psycho something, right?
I think you're thinking of the Psycho Mantis from
Oh, yeah.
Metal Gear 2. Or
I
I'm
am.
sorry, Metal Gear Solid. But the Eternal Darkness is the game I was thinking of. That's another game that does Psycho Mantis-esque things.
Gotcha.
So like stuff like that. It's been a while since Nintendo has dabbled in the darker side of gaming. Some horror stuff. It's cool to see, or not even horror stuff, just like more mature stuff. It's cool to see them poking their head in that door again. And then we have to pay for a tech demo.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Here's how to use your left Joy-Con. But
Cough
you
up
have to pay
$30.
$5.99
Yeah.
to get this information. If you want to learn about the right Joy-Con,
Wait, do you actually?
yes, you have to
Yeah, the tech
pay for
demo's
their
paid.
like animated, basically what the DualSense was on PlayStation, and you could play the demo for Astrobot almost before, like 3 years before it came out. That's what Nintendo is charging you for, to learn how to use their controllers.
Yep.
It is
Yeah.
insane.
They can keep it then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if somebody buys that game and then posts like a gameplay video of it, then you don't have to buy it. That is literally just to get children. It's like so predatory. It's children or like a parent that buys it for their kid and just wants to buy that because it's the first thing that they see.
Dude, why did I come out the gate being like, let's only talk about positives? I'm not
Yeah,
that
that
make me
was
mad.
Because
Why did Nintendo
you
do that?
literally can't. You cannot talk
There
about
was-
a
Yeah,
positive
it is like
without
impossible.
leading into a negative.
It's
It's
like
crazy.
for every one positive, there's like 8 negatives.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. My thing is, it's gonna probably end up being like the Wii U.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wii U. Wii U
Like,
2.0. Wii U
the-
2, that's what they should have
name-
called it.
The naming
GameCube technically
convention-
bombed. I think outside of the US, I heard today.
What did?
So the GameCube.
Oh,
So it'll probably be like that as well, I'd imagine.
yeah.
But it leans more towards the Wii U, where it's like the naming convention's the same, where it's very similar to the previous
Yeah.
console. There's only 2 Nintendo games at launch.
I don't know though. I feel like the DS's the DS line did pretty well. So
I think that was just because it was mainly handheld.
so is the Switch though.
And it was also way cheaper.
Yeah,
That
that's
is
at
true.
the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
The
It
DS
is
was
way
like
cheaper.
$85 or some shit.
But
Like
what year was
200,
that?
300.
Well, for the DS Lite, I'm saying it was like $90 to $120 back when we were children.
Childs.
It would be about now $138.
Bruh, that's crazy. Crazy.
I just said 2005. So it might be a little bit more, but still.
I've been seeing that a lot from a lot of people, and I'm on the fence of you can't really account inflation on stuff like this because there's so many other outside factors that matter when calculating that kind of price point.
Yeah. But it's like, I also feel like, with everything that's going on, they definitely took that into account when making
Yeah,
the price. Because they knew
they
it was coming. Like, they definitely had to take that into account. There's no way they're just charging that much money for the console just because they can.
I mean, yeah,
It's like,
I mean, even
and I,
today, as I brought up before the podcast, like there more information is dropping, about recent political stuff, and it's making Nintendo backpedal even more. So it's like,
yeah.
oh, it's a shit show. But what can you do? We can simply just sit here and talk about our favorite things, isn't that right, guys?
Yeah.
Yep.
One of my favorite things has been the Sakamoto Days manga recently. We are entering what seems to be the final arc in the manga, and I won't spoil because I know Jay is watching the anime. But the final arc, the setup for what is essentially the final big conflict of the story between Sakamoto and the big bad, is very well written. I didn't see it coming, despite it making a lot of sense, and it just feels right for a final boss for Sakamoto. Just making a character have to putting impossible odds for what they stand for in front of them and see what they do with it or see how they react to it. So I'm very excited to watch this unfold. Very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. Shout out to the Order. Coolest group of characters in that whole story.
Sounds mysterious.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You should maybe not watch, but you should get into Sakamoto Days though. I think you'd like that one a lot.
Maybe after.
You liked Nagamo, I think, the other day. A couple of episodes back, you're like, that guy's cool.
Yeah, I did. I did. That's the dice guy, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I like
that
him.
was the Dice Man. I haven't really read much else though. I've just been reading the usual weekly stuff. And then Awashi. Shout out more soccer talk. Well, we aren't that much further since last week though. I'm not even
Yeah.
through the
I know.
full first youth game yet.
I haven't read yet. I haven't read anything since last week.
I will say the first villain in air quotes. It's hard to tell at this point, but he's certainly acting diabolical. Fun character.
Oh yeah.
I'm having a lot of fun watching him interact with Awashi or with Ashi. His name's not
Ashito.
Awashi. Ashito, thank you. Uh, he's like just I don't know. I wasn't expecting him to come out the gate like swinging as hard as he did when he starts trash talking. It was a nice little surprise. But that's all from me. That's all she wrote.
Well, that kind of just leaves me. Pretty much. I haven't really read much, like I said before. Um, Even like watching anime, I haven't really watched anything this week. I got through another episode of One Piece, but I did see one of my favorite shows growing up, Home Improvement. Got it to Netflix, so I kind of just
Dude,
been
I saw you
I've been
watching
having
that
that.
on Discord, and my brain was like, "This guy, out of all the things he could be doing right now, is watching."
Oh, like I wasn't like I'll just have it playing in the background.
Yeah, that's fair.
So that's kind of been like my week kind of summed up.
Okay. A little bit of Home Improvement, a little bit of Awashi,
Yep.
a little bit of One Piece. Respectable.
So
I will
thanks very
say,
much.
yeah, before you lead us into the main conversation, I would like to apologize for last week's episode. I talked a lot. For this episode, I'm going to be joining Craig. You two
Hi.
have a blast. I'm going to be interjecting where I can, but I'm going to try to not talk as much. Give you guys some time to catch up.
I mean,
Okay.
last week was really like your bread and butter type of
It
episode.
was, but I also it's not just a me show.
Yeah, but
That
I
was rough.
didn't
That
really
was
feel
rough.
like we didn't really have much input on it.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Well, just wait until we do the where should you start creator edition episode.
Yeah, that one's gonna be rough. That one
We
might not
at
even
that
happen.
point we might not even show up. That'll just be Nate by
Yeah,
himself.
Nate and
We will
Craig will
be.
have
There
a
will be 3
conversation.
Craigs.
Yeah,
Three
there will be
Craigs.
3 Craigs. There'll be 3 Craigs, but only one of them will be in this Discord channel.
That is crazy. That is crazy. I'll have to make that. I need to come up with ways for making things like that more interactive. I had an idea for an episode where we would come up with like a power system and I would just kind of like help lead the conversation on it, but let you guys come up with the powers and I would just kind of like balance it, I guess, moderate the conversation. But I got to do some groundwork first before we get into the more fun stuff. Anyways, take it away, Jay.
Yeah.
So today's topic: how older manga influences newer manga. And I want to start off with the elephant in the room, pretty much. It's the big three, how they were all influenced by Dragon Ball. So for those that don't know what the big three is, it's One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach. Those were pretty much their, as the name suggests, they were the biggest manga at their time of publishing in what, the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
So
I can get exact dates for
for
you.
some context, I know Oda, who is the creator of One Piece, and Kishimoto, who is the creator of Naruto. I know that they worked with Toriyama, who is the creator of Dragon Ball, on Dragon Ball at some point, or they worked under him. So that's
That's
kind of weird.
interesting to know. That's interesting to know.
I'm
I
not
know we had a
sure.
generation like
I'm
that
not
with
sure about Kubo,
Chainsaw Man.
who is the creator of Bleach. I'm not sure if he worked under Toriyama as well. I don't know if you can just double check that. But I know for sure that Oda and Kishimoto definitely worked on it. And you can kind of see with how both manga are kind of structured. They kind of have the same structuring as Dragon Ball, where it starts off with this young character that he has a goal. Luffy's, he wants to become the king of the pirates. He wants to find the One Piece. Naruto, he wants to doesn't he want to become the Hokage?
Yes.
Yes. So they kind of both have. I'm not sure. I haven't read or watched Bleach, so I'm not sure what the main character's goal is in that one.
In
Well,
Bleach?
yeah,
I'm
but
not
if you're
sure.
playing the
Yeah,
game,
that one's oh?
I mean, it's not playing a lot of it, but playing just enough to get the main grasp of the story. I don't think there's like a certain
So it's not
goal
like
necessarily, but
a
it's
One
just
Piece and okay.
no.
Yeah.
Well, he might, but and I just don't know it. But it kind of seems like one of those. It's more about what happens episodically, or sequentially,
Chapter. Yeah.
rather than there's this end that they're working towards every single episode or
More
volume.
cause and effect for sure than end goal.
Yeah. But
About
like
the
you
journey.
can see it in, especially in Luffy and Naruto, their personalities are very similar to Goku's,
So I
especially
want to bring
earlier
up real
on.
quick. you asked me to look it up. I don't think any of them worked under Toriyama, but
They
I
didn't?
also that came from Google AI, so I don't know what
Oh,
to
Google,
believe.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
looked a
thought I
little
read.
further than Google AI, and it said that Kubo did not work on Dragon Ball, but he was inspired
Were
by
you
it.
able to see if the other two were? Because I'm not
I
getting
only
any answers
searched for
on them.
Kubo, so
Okay,
I
okay.
didn't.
Or maybe it wasn't Draw. Maybe
Let
it
me
was something
see.
else that he did.
Did
That Toriyama did, and they worked underneath him.
Kishimoto help
Damn.
Toriyama?
Now I feel embarrassed.
No, well, hold on.
It's all right.
Uh, no, they were all inspired. It looks like, but
They
it
were
doesn't
all
look like
inspired.
they
But I
helped any.
feel like they definitely, at least like Oda, the way that he talked about Toriyama definitely gave off the vibes that he worked with him at some point.
Well, I think they
It
were
might have not
drinking
been on
buddies.
Dragon
Those
Ball
two specifically.
because he called him
They
Sensei.
well,
Like he always.
so when okay, and I guess this is something I actually can give a bit of insight on. So because I am, this is just, I think this is, and I could be wrong. I'm not an expert, but this is just my interpretation of this as from what the information I've seen on the internet. Um, because I am a newer generation like mangaka and creator, I would call everyone who's come before me a sensei because I am learning from them and applying it to my work. So if someone younger than us were to start making a manga and they were to look at Dragon Universe as a source of inspiration, I would be Nate Sensei or something like that. Or I guess late Sensei.
Late sensei.
Um, but I believe that is how it works. Because when I would refer to Oda as Oda Sensei when I'm talking about my work specifically, and be or if I was like trying to refer to him politely. That's all I think that's what that honorific is used for.
Yeah, it's like a hierarchy of age.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like they worked together on two. I'm assuming it's one was a manga called Cross Epic or
Cross
Epoch.
epic.
I
Epoch?
don't even know. That's so. That is the way that is
Uh,
spelled. I'll grab the
Yeah,
images.
oh yeah,
EPOCH, right?
Oh, it's a crossover
yeah,
between
it's like
both
a
shows.
crossover.
And
Yeah.
then pretty much like how to draw comics on a personal computer book.
Um
But
to be fair to you, that's not that other mangaka working under one mangaka and then branching out and doing other things is something that Shonen Jump does very often. Um with Chainsaw Man's Fujimoto. Let me make sure that's his name. Hold on. I'm pretty sure that's correct, but I just want to make sure. Yeah. Um Fujimoto in Chainsaw Man, he had what was it? The guy that did Hell's Paradise, Spy Families mangaka, and then one other person all worked under uh Fujimoto and then went and did their own stuff. So that is something that happens often. There's one manga right now, Ultimate Exorcist Kyoshi, being published that mangaka worked and helped edit for One Piece. And you can see it like pretty like once you know that fact about it, you can see it in the paneling and stuff pretty heavily that there's a bit of influence there. So that is something that happens. So you're you're not in the wrong for at least assuming as much.
okay. Well, now I would like to apologize.
I
My
like to
bad,
apologize
guys.
to the fans.
Uh, so that's gonna be my last episode. Like,
Well,
ah,
I mean, Craig could replace you, I guess. Craig doesn't spread misinformation like
okay then.
Bruh.
Bruh.
Craig doesn't say much of anything.
Gary's like now recording.
Yeah, that's all he says.
That's all he
Don't
says.
spit out water at that. That is all he says.
Okay. Okay. Well, you can see it like I was saying before. Luffy and Naruto, their personalities, especially Naruto earlier in the show, really resemble Goku's personalities. I don't know if you guys can If you guys kind of see where I'm seeing it.
Yeah, I was gonna
And
mention
then
that
Luffy too.
each one of
Luffy
them
early
kind
on
of
too. Yeah.
takes a certain aspect of Dragon Ball and then
Yeah.
exemplifies it.
Yeah, I would say so. Dragon Ball influenced a lot of shonen protagonists. I think I can't think of a specific example, but that kind of shonen protag didn't start with Goku, but it certainly was like popularized, I think, by Goku. Of the like just like wild child, just happy go lucky. That's kind of like a solid. I mean, I use it. I use elements of it in DU for one of my main three characters. Uh, it's a great baseline to work with. It's just a really likable character trait or set of character traits.
Okay.
Jay?
my bad. I have I thought my bad. I just like I just spaced out for a second. I thought Logan was gonna say something right
Well,
after.
you were the one that was talking initially before I said that all three of them take a certain aspect, so I thought you were gonna finish your thought
Yeah,
on that.
my bad. I thought you were gonna
Yeah, yeah,
elaborate
yeah.
on
We
it.
went on a bit of a
But
tangent. My bad.
but yeah, that's how I kind of feel like with it's mainly those two because I know more about One Piece and Naruto than I do about Bleach. So I don't really I'm not gonna speak much on Bleach just because I'm not that informed on it. But even Dragon Ball had its own inspiration.
Mhm.
Like Dragon Ball, it was just like Toriyama just came up with it. It was inspired by Astro Boy, which is from the 1950s, if I remember correctly, and it's pretty much known as like one of the first modern, in quotations, manga, as the way that was written and the art style of it as well. And Toriyama took inspiration from that to create Dragon Ball. Mainly the way that the manga was structured, where Goku was going on this adventure, the themes of good versus evil. And
Yeah,
It
Astro
also
Astro Boy did a good job there.
Journey to the West was also an inspiration, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I when Jay said that, I did kind of like hit the the people's eyebrow on that and looked it up. Jay's not wrong. Toriyama did cite Astro Boy as a significant source or of inspiration. But Journey to the West was also a big one. I think just as like a setting from like a setting perspective, Journey to the West was an inspiration.
Well,
But
and the fact
Astro
that
Boy would be
Son
like in
Goku
concept.
yeah.
Yeah. When I
and
say
Son
setting, I mean
Wukong.
like setting of the set dressing of the manga itself.
Oh, okay.
And then Astro Boy is like the inspiration for the structure of the story, the nitty gritty, like, you know, I'm blanking on like the terminology for it, but like the building blocks of the story, essentially. Okay, let's not stay here for 40 minutes in silence this time, Jay.
Okay.
So
Well,
okay,
well,
Logan, you want to go?
yeah.
Because that's pretty much all I have for the big three.
Yeah. So to bring up a point I made before this podcast started, and the reason why Jayden was so, you know, not ecstatic, but uh, ready, eager, I should say, to get into the episode, is that I think, in my opinion, Akira is only, or not is only, but should really only be brought up as a an inspiration for newer manga in its art style and setting and animation style, because after watching that movie, and this was like a year and a half, 2 years ago, I first watched Akira, so this is pretty fresh in my mind. It was not a good movie, story wise. in my opinion. Nothing really happened. I could understand if it was like a manga and the movie was a continuation of a manga or whatever, or maybe because Akira, was it a manga or was it
I
just
think
a
the manga
movie?
came first. Yeah.
Okay, then I'm gonna go ahead and assume they didn't do the manga justice at all in terms of story, because holy shit, it felt. And I love stories that are harder to follow and require a
The
little bit more
manga
thinking.
was 1/3 done when the movie came out.
Oh hell no! See, this is why we do our research, and I didn't. But thank you, Nate. Yeah, exactly. What the fuck? Like, they literally just said, "I bet we can make this look cool," and they made it look cool. But then, fucking yeah, like why? Why would you do it at
It
that point?
seems like the original Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah, I was about to say we've definitely set our piece on how we
Yeah.
feel about anime doing that.
Yeah, exactly. So, Jayden, after you heard that from my mouth and you said, "Okay, okay, let's go, let's record, let's go, real quick." What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you were talking no, because you were talking about Dragon Ball.
No, I
We were
was
talking
talking
about.
about
You said Akira.
Akira. I said
Oh, were we
Akira.
talking about Akira?
I'm talking
Oh,
about
my bad.
Akira,
I thought we
not
were talking
Akira
about Dragon.
Toriyama. I'm talking
I
about
th-
Akira the
oh
movie.
Bro was so
oh
drinking
shit.
Toriyama.
Oh
Crazy.
Wait, so even
no,
before the podcast
because
started, you
we
thought I
were
was talking
talking.
about
Because
Toriyama?
I mentioned Dragon Ball. I didn't even hear you say Akira. You must have cut out. Because I thought then all I heard out of your mouth was, I'm not too sure about the story. The story was
That's
kind of
funny.
meh, and I was like, what?
Yeah, no, I was talking about Akira, the movie,
Oh,
not Dragon Ball. Bro, this guy,
okay.
he was like ready to clap
I
back
was
a
ready. I was
tenfold.
ready to go.
Like,
Yeah, he
hell
like
But
no.
left
thought we
our
were
call
should.
we were in, went right to the fucking podcast Discord, was ready to go.
I was ready to defend Dragon Ball.
I'm gonna defend Dragon Ball, bro. I love Dragon Ball, but even
Because
though
Dragon
I
Ball
do think
is.
Dragon Ball also falls into a pitfall of the story being lackluster sometimes, but
I think it's more.
it's not like Akira.
I think it's
Yeah.
more with Super.
Well, definitely, yeah.
But that's not even Toriyama's work.
Mm.
Pretty sure. So you can't
Well, it
really
was a
blame him.
combination, I think, of Toriyama and Toyotaro.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But what are your thoughts on Akira then? Have you watched it?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yes, no, me
Patreon
neither.
episode.
Yep. I
All
haven't
right.
watched Akira either, but I know enough about it from just being on the internet. I think it's perfectly valid for something to. I guess I should say, it's valid that you think that, Log, and I honestly would probably agree with you, just knowing how our opinions end up aligning on these kinds of things. Um, I think it's valid for something to take inspiration from a part of something and not, the rest of it. So, like, I think Akira, from a stylistic point of view, maybe is more of a point of inspiration for newer stuff as opposed to maybe it's, storytelling.
Yeah.
I think Dragon Ball, honestly, funnily enough, falls into that category. I don't think people are pulling from Dragon Ball's narrative per se as a star player in its success. I think it's more so pulling from like the power system and the character designs and stuff
And
like that.
the
The world.
personalities too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is Dragon Ball's like,
Magnum opus.
there you go. Thank you.
So another thing I want to talk about too was how some manga kind of have like similar art styles, and one that I feel like you can. It's not talked about often from what I've seen, just because one kind of is talked about more now than the other one. Is how Fist of the North Star. Sorry, JoJo's took. They must have taken inspiration from Fist of the North Star
Mhm.
because their art style looks very similar. It gets that you get that like when you read JoJo's after reading Fist of the North Star, you kind of get that vibe. just by looking at it. Even you don't even have to read, just look at the pictures from the manga. You could definitely tell like they have they have very similar art styles, which is different from like the big three's art style, where it's kind of more cartoonish. I don't know if that's the best way of putting it. It's a little bit like easier on the eyes compared to
Yeah.
Fist of
Yeah.
North Star and JoJo's, where it's a lot more intense. I don't know, like I don't know if
It's
I'm.
very intense.
You guys get what I'm trying to say.
As someone who just caught up to the rest of JoJo Lands, yeah, I understand. I understand completely what you're saying.
I
That shit
also
gets crazy.
the only anime or manga that I could think of that has a distinct style that I have not seen replicated is Baki. I feel like the character
Yeah, Baki
design.
sure is
I
special.
mean, I understand that I hate, and that's not to say I like it. I don't want to say hate. Hate's a strong word. I strongly dislike Baki's art style. Both, actually, I haven't seen enough of the manga to talk on the manga, but the anime is just, I do not like the character designs at all. But at the same time, you wouldn't really be watching it for that. So you'd be watching it for the girthy men
For the
punching each
absurd.
other.
Okay, there we go. We
Yeah.
got there.
Yeah, well, you didn't let me finish, so.
Yeah, my bad.
But never mind. I'm gonna keep that to myself.
Yep.
Um,
Said, keep it for outside the podcast.
yeah, that's a Patreon episode. I'll also keep the title of that episode to myself. But what the hell, bro? You just with a goblin cackle. That was crazy.
You sent me all the way to Goblin Town, bro. That was crazy.
Well,
Also,
anyway.
another
Oh wait,
Patreon
what? I'm sorry. Did I hear that correctly?
episode.
No.
It's fine, Jay.
Ignore
You
that.
keep
Just
it
ignore
yourself.
that.
Just keep it to yourself. It's
Yeah,
fine.
Okay.
Jay, after our podcast episodes, you can have one just kind of going over.
Okay.
Yeah,
What you
Jayden,
saw.
what would your podcast episode be called? Or be
I
about?
don't even know.
Anything
Just Dragon Ball. Like,
Dragon Balls?
Dragon Ball? That's crazy.
oh, okay.
It
Dragging
had
these
to be a
balls
little
across your
sus.
face.
Yeah. Who could have guessed it? Fucking sorry. I'm sorry. Anyway, Baki, yeah, like I don't really like the art style of the Baki, but it is very unique.
It
Now
sure
we
is.
hit the silence. Oh, sorry.
Bro, you think there is no beating the silence we got earlier? I promise you.
That's true.
That was crazy that we all just sat there for a hot second.
And in the case of sorry.
I was like, oh, go ahead, Logan. My bad.
No, I was gonna say in the case of Mob Psycho and One Punch Man, they were made by the same person, but they look, at least the general style looks a little bit different.
Yeah.
One Punch Man's comedic scenes look like Mob because Mob is a more of a comedy kind of anime, or it's actually like shonen but comedy focused, I should say. I guess they both are, but you know, Mob is like slice of life. One Punch Man is more action-y.
So I think One Punch Man actually isn't done by. It's written by one, but
story's
it's
the
not.
same.
It's not drawn. Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I
At
thought they
least
were drawn by the same person.
I think maybe they got redone by a different artist. I think originally it might have been like that, but nowadays it's not. It's definitely done by a different artist, I think.
Okay.
Because there's a series on Manga Plus right now called Bug Ego that is also
yeah, you mentioned that earlier in the podcast episodes.
That one is also written by one, but it's the art is done by somebody else.
Okay, I got you. I was mistaken.
Yeah, we're just correcting everybody. I hope Craig opens his mouth so I can fucking get him for his false info. I'm watching
Well,
you, Craig.
another one that I don't know if it's actually like if the creators have come out and said that they've like gotten inspiration from it, but it kind of looks like the similarities is with Attack on Titan and Evangelion. Mainly with how kind of like Aaron's downfall. That's
Are you
not
talking
really
Aaron's
story?
downfall. Yeah, I
Okay.
can see it. I mean,
and
Attack on Titan
Shinjin's
is a
trauma.
glorified mech
How you
anime.
say his name, right? Shinji
Shinji.
from
Shinji, yeah.
yeah, and his trauma.
Shinji has a lot of trauma, that's for sure. Well, I guess so does Eren, and that's where
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and
Similarities.
I haven't watched enough Evangelion to
Yeah, I
know.
can't really speak on it.
Or Evangelion, if however you pronounce it.
I will say that it's different kinds of breaking down of a character, but the concept of a breakdown of a character is definitely there. So I
Ghost in the Shell
see.
was probably another big inspiration for stylistic choices.
Yeah, Ghost in the
The
Shell,
newer
Cowboy Bebop. I mean, we literally didn't we get a show just recently that was done by the art director or something like that for Cowboy Bebop, and it's like literally just Cowboy Bebop again, but
I
uh,
feel
done
like
in
I did see something about that.
not 100% sure.
yeah. I don't know how to even look at. Hold on, Cowboy Bebop new show. Watanabe, the creator of Cowboy Bebop, is releasing a new anime series titled Lazarus on Adult Swim.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And yeah, that is like literally, I mean, in the key art, it's sharing the same kind of like color scheming and stuff as Cowboy Bebop. But it's
I,
made
f-
by the same person, so like I guess it doesn't really count.
I think Megalobox was probably inspired
Oh
by Cowboy
yeah.
Bebop.
Oh yeah.
Cowboy Bebop in terms of
I
art
keep
style,
telling
and
myself I gotta
Hajime no
watch that.
Ippo in terms of story. But yeah, you
Yeah.
gotta watch Megalobox. It's an easy
That
watch too. It's
and
pretty quick.
the Devil May Cry anime that
Oh,
just
what the
dropped.
hell?
I think that dropped last night. We gotta
Is a
watch
new
that.
one?
Yep. 8 episodes
Oh,
out. Mel said it was a banger.
I mean, I can imagine. The
Wait, did all
first
the
one was
episodes drop at
awesome.
once?
For the whole season, I think, yeah.
Crazy,
Maybe
dude.
Interesting.
Patreon episode, watch
Maybe.
party. Perhaps,
Yeah.
maybe.
Or we do a review.
Review?
Yeah.
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 Um, do you guys have anything else you guys want to add before I go on?
Nah,
Because I
man.
got one more.
Take it
All right.
away.
Last one I have, Monster and Death Note, maybe. Just the
Hmm.
way the main the main characters are, they both seem to be like an anti-hero, and also how you really have to think about it. It makes you open up your mind and think about the story. At least that's kind of the vibes I got from reading Monster. That you really had to think about it. You couldn't just use your intuition.
Yeah, I can see that.
Death Note started
I don't.
serialization in 2003. It's
I don't.
possible.
I don't. I'm not saying it took inspiration, but it definitely has that same.
Energy. Yeah, I get what
Yeah.
you're saying. I think we all really mean to say that they were all inspired by Super Smartphone, who had gone back in time to share their work with them, and then went
Yes.
back to the future to then release after
See,
them.
we actually have something to tell you guys. Dragon Ball is just a ripoff of Dragon Universe. Like, come on.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Make it
Can't
Toriyama went
Toriyama
back
would
in
do that.
time. He had a time machine, came to the future, stole all of Nate's work, and then went back in time and made Dragon Ball.
I will say, there is a bit of truth to the reverse of that. I mean, Dragon Universe is inspired by a fan game, or I got the idea from a fan game of Dragon Ball. So
Ion.
yes, Mayon,
Shout out
Logan knows.
Ion. That was
Never forget,
so
never
fun.
forget. That game, Biond in
That was
general was a banger.
Yeah, that
Um,
was
that game's still around too. I'm pretty sure they have like a dedicated Discord for it and stuff like that. I've poked my head in there before. Cool stuff. That's something I'll talk about at a later date. But I think that's the first time I think I've publicly said where I got the inspiration for DU from. That's pretty cool.
Interesting.
I also literally just took the same exact name. So
that's true. That might be a legal battle you have to get into later.
listen, all I'm saying is I did
No,
it out
one's
of
a
love
manga,
and
one's a
passion
game.
for the game. Okay.
That's true. I don't think they'd go after you.
I don't think
Unless
they can. They have no grounds. It's a fucking fan game.
that's true.
I love you guys. Not you guys, but you know,
Oh,
the Dragon
yeah.
Universe community. The Bion game.
Okay,
They
wow.
rule.
We mean nothing to you, I guess.
Yeah, you guys you mean
That's
nothing to
crazy.
me. And the viewer. I love the viewers. Viewers are cool. Thanks for listening, guys.
Okay, we still mean nothing to you.
You guys are just a fat fucking stepping stone towards
Ooh.
my paycheck at the end of the day, okay?
Damn.
Keep talking.
Okay,
Keep
wait.
it rolling, Jay.
Now that we have Craig here, do we have to split it 4 ways, or?
Well, no. First off, you guys aren't getting paid. Craig can
That's the
take
first I'm
like
hearing about
5%.
I was gonna make a joke and leave the channel, but I'm
But
pretty sure that would mess up the recording.
Craig, yeah.
So just
I'm
pretend,
joking.
put in the
I'm-
Discord sound effect in post.
Disclaimer, this is a bit I make no money. I'm broke.
Is that
Okay,
a bit too, or no?
well, I'll leave it to the viewer to decide.
Well,
But that's all I have personally. I don't know if you guys have any other ones to mention.
well, those were just the ones that you had written down that you wanted to go over,
Bring up
right?
for sure, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't really have any specific examples. I guess. Yeah, no, I don't really got nothing. It's just like, older stuff influences newer stuff. I think I said literally last episode or the episode prior that art there's no original story. Everything is, influenced by what came before it. And it's just spun in its own unique way. So,
but here's the thing: if everything is influenced by what came before it, then what came first?
the chicken or the egg?
What came first, the manga or the anime?
That's crazy.
That's the real question.
It was always the manga. Actually, 95% of the time it's the manga.
That's true. That's true.
But when you think about it,
There is no thinking about it. It's
No,
just the way it is.
it's pretty cut and dry, actually.
But when you think
It
about
falls
it,
apart.
anime could, like, if you really think about it, like, think about it for a second.
I'm thinking.
Yep. So, back in, like, I don't even know, fucking hundreds of years ago, before TVs and cameras and everything existed, there were puppet shows, and even before that, there was theater. So
That's true.
if
There's theater now, like.
yeah, because it stood the test of time. If we're talking about animated things, humans, we call ourselves animated if we move a lot. Like, oh, that person's really animated. So if you went to a theater back in the 1800s, or probably further than that, like the 1700s, if there were even theaters back then, I'm sure there were.
Yeah, Shakespeare's
we,
what,
we,
15?
we are not
We're going
qualified
okay.
to talk
Then we're
about
going too
anything
far
that
into
we've
this.
ever talked about, I think, on this podcast.
No, this whole episode was just like, I think this happened, and then searching it
Yeah,
up.
that's
Nah,
right.
that shit didn't happen
That's
at
wrong.
all. Okay, we should just call this episode. Okay, my bad. I was wrong.
Jayden's last
Or
episode.
no, we're
Jayden
sorry,
gets
we were
shit.
wrong. That's what we should call it.
Jayden gets the shiny axe. That's
Oh
rough, Chad.
man.
Sorry.
So where did I leave off? Yeah, so 1700s, right?
We're done with
We're
this.
still-
This is stupid.
no.
This is a dumb bit.
Oh, dumb bit. We have okay.
We have what, Luke?
He just thought about it. He's like, yeah.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So before
Yeah.
we go into the indie recommend for this week. I do want to mention, for those that don't know, we actually do have a TikTok. You guys can follow us there on
Some self
Infinite
promotion.
Volume
If it doesn't get
underscore.
banned,
I
What?
highly doubt it.
like TikTok itself.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
TikTok
Not
doesn't
our
get
channel.
banned.
Yeah,
I was like, why would we get banned? Did
No,
Jayden do
not
something
us.
I wasn't aware of?
it's because of the Nihao Kailan incident, bro. We're gonna get banned on TikTok. Are you gonna
That's
make
on
that a
TikTok,
clip?
yeah.
Please.
Oh
don't
yeah,
make that a
yeah. We
clip.
have to. We have to.
No.
I will
I'm
personally
That's
sorry.
the
make
one
that a
that's gonna
push.
go viral, and then you
Yeah,
guys are
yeah.
gonna have it's
Actually,
gonna be you two and Craig in the very next episode after we post
for
that.
some backgrounds, because so far I've kind of been posting, because I've been the one running the TikTok, so I've been posting the TikToks as the episodes come out, so we don't really get that much like pre-promotion for it, which I mean it's okay. But we've had one. Our best video is from the second episode so
That's
far,
crazy.
Sure.
Our second
and it
episode
was
was the one that did the weakest too so far.
On
yes,
YouTube, at
which is
least.
Yeah,
yeah,
on YouTube. I mean, Spotify is like
which is
nothing.
actually kind of
That's
crazy
okay.
because
It's okay.
I'm looking at the numbers right now. Nate talking about Berserk has the most views.
How many views?
It's 82.
Damn. That's
Hell
more
Um,
than
yeah.
our first episode on
which
YouTube.
I know.
I kind of, which seems weird. Like Berserk got 82, but then me talking about One Piece only got 4.
So do you know what
And
it
I
probably
think it
what
has to
probably
do
does
with the
it?
hashtags too.
That maybe. I think there's so much more going on with One Piece on a day-to-day
Probably.
basis than there is Berserk that the Berserk community just kind of like doesn't have a lot to gravitate towards, so they saw
Probably.
us and were like,
Yeah.
please,
Even like
anything. in
Logan
that
talking
episode.
about Haikyuu.
Oh,
Is that the
Oh.
one?
like you mentioned.
Are we handing out like participation awards for
Sorry.
this? Do I get
Yeah,
paid?
third, first place, second place, third place.
Get
When's
paid?
Craig gonna get a clip?
Yeah, where's Craig's clip?
Craig. Craig doesn't have a clip yet.
No, we
We'll
gotta
get one
post
from
just a 2-second clip of him going,
recording.
recording started.
Oh, wait, we
or
need to clip.
whatever it
We
says.
need to string together all the clips of us laughing at him doing that.
Yeah.
We love Craig.
So
Best
how many
fourth
views
mate.
does the Haikyuu one have?
Yeah.
You just quickly mentioned IQ.
Oh,
So how many
that's
views does
it?
it have?
How many views does that have?
26.
Okay.
Hey, I'll take it. 26.
That's not bad. Good second place.
Use my affiliate code.
Oh, it was the
Okay.
Star Wars Visions one. That's what it was.
Ah,
That one's at 26.
that's surprising.
That's
I
See,
not
kind of feel
it
like,
was worth bringing up Star Wars Visions.
yeah.
Yeah, we
I
did
do
talk
kind of
about
feel
Star
like,
Wars Visions for a long fucking time as someone who just edited that episode.
Listen, bro.
Like
You
damn
just
near
it's a
half the
podcast.
episode.
You just talk.
yeah.
Dude, I was talking to Aiden while editing the podcast, and I was like, listen, I don't remember any of this because my eyes were glazed over this entire time. I don't recall anything
Nate
these
doesn't
guys
care
said.
about the podcast. He just
Yeah.
I
sits
just said
there and
I'm not
talks.
a
This is crazy.
Star Wars head.
You don't have to be a Star Wars head. If you watch the show, then you would appreciate the animation and the quality. And
Yeah,
you
I
know what?
love
We're
some good
watching that episode after this podcast episode.
I don't know about that.
I'm pulling it up.
Patreon.
So
It's like
I have
10
an indie
minutes, bro.
recommend today.
It's like, bro.
I have an indie recommend today. As I usually do every day. We're in a weird spot right now. Manga Plus Creators, which is usually where I go to consume my indie creations, is currently down at the moment for maintenance. They had a transition of ownership on who was handling the website. So there's just been a lot of like rough launches and relaunches going on. It should be back up. It'll definitely. I pray it'll be back up by the time this episode airs. By the time from recording this episode, it should be back up in like a couple days. But in the meantime, on Blue Sky, one of the mangaka I follow, his name is Snoozing Copter. He has put out he put out a couple months back, I think 4 months back, a one-shot called Roar. And it was hard not to bring it up when you guys were talking about how Goku kind of influenced characters, because this main character, it feels very Goku Toriyama inspired.
I could see you.
Yeah, the wild
Goku
child.
and Yugi.
Yeah, like a mix of the two.
Goku and Yugi together.
He's definitely got that Yugi here.
Like I said,
Like
this is a
that at the
one
front,
shot. Yeah, I see. I definitely see what you mean.
and then the
It's
rest is
about
Goku. Oops.
about a kid named Roa, like just a wild child who, he hunts something, and then a couple of people from a tribe find him sleeping, steal the food from him. A girl from that tribe finds him afterwards, and his stomach is rumbling. That's where they get his name from. And then she takes him back to the village because he's super duper strong. And they have him help take down a local threat, that big old bear you might see in some of those panelings. I really want to talk about one page in particular. First off, the art is really fucking cool. It's very Toriyama-esque. I really like it. But not even it's like Toriyama and a mix of their own personality in it, which I think I really enjoy about it. Like Snoozen's own personality in it.
Mm.
But I want to talk about one page in particular because I died laughing when I read it. Can everyone please bring their attention to the page where the girl, whose name is Tola, by the way, is holding a stick and she draws in the sand what the bear they need to hunt looks like?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Have you read that page since I've shown you?
Yeah.
It's pretty good, right? It's pretty
Yeah.
solid. I'm
surprised
way
that's
I
not
was
your
reading
profile picture.
dude, when I was reading this, I had to scroll, so I didn't see the punchline right away. This was really funny. The funny evil eyebrows is up there in my my top funny humor bits, so I appreciate seeing it. What did that even mean? What am I
Yeah.
talking about? I'm
I'm
just saying.
just sitting here, eyes glazed over. I don't even know what this kid's
Come-
talking about, bro.
okay, come on. um, but that's all I got. So you can read this on Snooze and Copter's Blue Sky. I don't think he has it uploaded to any particular website. It's pinned right to the top of his Blue Sky. His exact handle is, I wrote it down for you so we can get the viewer to where they need to go here, at snoozeandcopter.art. And it will also be in the description. I'll probably link to this exact post in the description of the episode. So have a little read for yourself. It was a good time. I like the paneling a lot. Go show some love.
All right.
Yeah, yep.
Well, it's time
Yeah.
to pick the next episode, right?
Oh yeah, it is. It is.
Well, I
It
already highlighted it,
is.
so I can tell you what it is.
Oh, what do we got?
Power systems and what makes them interesting and fun.
Okay. This will be an interesting one for you to
Yep.
lead, I think.
Yeah.
I'm curious as to how you feel about it. And I'm
I'm
interested
also
in
curious
Jay's.
as to how I feel about it, but we'll figure that out.
All right. Then I guess Jay, if you don't want to give us any inspirational speeches this time, we
No,
we
no inspirational speech this week. I actually had
Oh,
an
wait.
energy drink, so I can actually like stay up for the episode. Towards the end of last week's episode, I was already like snoozing out. So
The I just finished editing episode 3 of the podcast, which will be going live the day after we record this. And at the very end of it, there is a bit where Jay just goes on a fucking tangent about some nonsense that when I tried to cue him for the end of the episode, it killed me.
on that episode,
Yeah.
I
Dude,
don't
you were
remember.
like, you were going philosophical with it. You were like, what is manga?
That was last week. Holy shit!
No, that was episode 3. That was episode 3.
It's all
It's all blending together. It
yeah.
happens. There's a
All
lot
right.
of infinite volume. It is infinite.
Yeah. So if no one has any final words they want to put out,
Let's
well, in
free
that
the viewer.
case, as we say every week, have a good.
Have a good.
Have a good everyone.